Hi everybody, Honest John here. A nation of immigrants. That's what the United States likes to call itself. That's what we hear all the time. And it's true. Everybody here is descended from people who migrated here at one time or another. Some very long ago, some fairly recently. What's not true is that we have always welcomed immigrants. Those words on the Statue of Liberty, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free," are wonderful poetry. But that's all they are. The truth is that the hostility that we see in the Trump administration is not new in this country. The only thing that really makes a difference is the level of cruelty and sadism exhibited by the Trump administration. But every wave of immigration throughout our history has been greeted with fear and anger and prejudice. The Chinese, for example, they built our railroads, at least on the West Coast. But those efforts were rewarded with discrimination, exploitation, and sometimes violence. Congress even passed legislation limiting the number of Chinese and other Asians that would be allowed to come to the United States. But it's not necessarily a racial thing. Irish and Italian immigrants were also regarded with hostility. And even though we would starve to death without the work of undocumented workers who harvest our crops and process our food, the general attitude toward them is hostility, mistrust, and even fear. Now, perhaps it has something to do with the forces that drive immigration. First of all, nobody wants to be an immigrant. All things being equal, people would prefer to stay in their own countries if they could thrive there. So when people do leave their nations of origin, it's because something is going on that forces them to leave. Famine, civil unrest, war, oppression, economic strife, lack of opportunity, large criminal populations that intimidate the people and threaten them. When these things happen in the country, they don't just affect a few individuals, they affect large numbers of people. So what happens is that all of a sudden, you might have thousands of people flocking to our shores from a particular country or area. This makes the people who are already established here nervous. Even though the number that are coming in may be a tiny fraction of the population, there is a general sense that these people are arriving in hordes and they're going to take over. And that is usually far from the truth. But this is a nation of immigrants. Immigrants built this country, and without immigrants, this nation will stop growing and will not thrive. Immigrants are an important part of the growth of this and other countries. They're important for the economy, they're important for development. So, for those of you who don't like immigrants and don't want to associate with them, I have a suggestion. Find out what country your ancestors came from and go there. Thanks for listening.